Okay, so today's video is going to be about the grading process, both for homework assignments or practice and tests. So I have to share with you today. This is an example of a homework assignment or a series of practice problems, I like to call them, because that's what they are. They're practice. And if you finish your practice at school, then you don't have homework. If you don't finish your practice at school, then you have work to do at home. So as you can see, this is my work. This is the answer key. But what happens when students come to school the day after this lesson was taught? So for example, I introduced lesson 13 yesterday, and we're going to wrap it up today. So this will be the assignment that students come home with on Thursday, the 18th. And when I check their work, I'm looking for, are all the problems attempted? Is there an explanation to show why certain answers are what they are? Is every problem attempted? So as you can see on the back, this was a bad copying job by me because I should have put these together. But you can see my explanation for number 3 is up there, not with the shape. And then again, you can tell this is a review because it says this is from lesson 8 and this is from lesson 3. So homework or practice problems are worth 2 points. So basically, if you attempt every problem, you explain how you got your answer, and it's legible, then that would be a 2. If you left a couple blank, or if you did the front and not the back, that's going to be something like a 1, which a 1 out of 2 is a no credit. We don't give Fs at Marshall, and F is the equivalent of a no credit. And that can be finished for more credit, not full credit, but more credit. So that is basically how I score homework or practice problems. I don't collect them. I expect the students to keep them because they're a good tool to use to study for whatever quiz or assessment might be coming up. The only time students turn assignments in is, say, the student was absent on the day that I looked at that assignment, or if they lost theirs and they had to redo it a couple days late. I'm obviously not going to ask to look at that again as a whole group. So that's something that they would either show me before school or after school on an open Core Flex day, or again, they could just make sure they put their name on it and put it in the turn-in box in the classroom. So that is how assignments are scored. So let me close that. And next up would be how are assessments scored. I understand the way that we score at Marshall is different than certainly we grew up with, and it's potentially different than what kids have had so far in their education career, but it is how the entire math department here at Marshall scores. So we use standards-based grading, and I use a 3-point scale. So on a test, every problem is worth 3 points. So as you can see right here, the square is for having the answer. So this person got a 2 out of 3 for the answer, because what they did, they chose A. And if you look, they were supposed to find the area of a parallelogram that has 60 square units. And what they were doing is they were dividing by 2. So they were thinking these were triangles. So they had an idea of how to do the problem, but they didn't quite know everything about doing a problem. A circle is for showing work. I think it's important that kids show how they got an answer, not just circle, I think the answer is A. So again, work is worth 3 points as well. So this next page, this student got a 3 for having the correct answer. So the correct answer was A and C. And they also got a 3 for showing their work because they showed why they chose those. And then the same thing down on question 3. So how does this look in Skyward? So let me, I don't have access to like a dummy class in Skyward, so bear with me. I had to take a screenshot of a student's Skyward to make sure that there was no personal information on the screen. So yours won't be 3 different series of pictures like this. It's all one screen that you'll just scroll up or down to see. But anyway, when you go into Skyward and you click Gradebook, and then in the yellow column, if you click on the math grade, it brings up a progress report. This is called a progress report. And it'll have your student's name up here. And so you can see this person's in second period. You can see the term 1 grade. You can see that term 1 is from September 5th to November 9th. And this person has an A minus, a 91 and 51/100%. This is actually supposed to say performance. I'm not sure why it always gets cut off, but as you can see, 100% of the student's math grade comes from performance. Again, this is how the math department here at Marshall scores, and I believe it's how Miss Stevick and the science team scores as well, but I can only speak for the math department for sure. So in each class, your student gets 3 grades. One of the grades is a behavior grade. So how do they act? Are they respectful, responsible, safe? That kind of thing. I score students every week on their behavior. So you can see this student doesn't need warnings. They don't need reminders. I don't have to write them up to go to the office. They listen attentively. They listen to their teacher, their peers, all that kind of thing. What kind of person are you? That's basically the behavior grade. So then that brings me to the effort grade. And again, if you just scroll down, you would see this would be the next section on the progress report. And you can see effort is weighted at 0%. So this does not affect the math grade. This person has an A in effort. They actually have 105%. Because they have 21 out of 20 points possible, and you can see that they did an extra credit item. You'll notice that there are some asterisks right here. That's because these things are from the future. We haven't done them yet, or there might be an asterisk because I haven't graded it yet, or I just haven't put it in the computer yet, but I really try to keep Skyward updated. I think Skyward is the best connection between myself, your student, and you and their effort and achievement. So as you can see, this student has completed all of their assignments. They've gotten A's on everything, 100%. And then over here, you can see that they got 2 out of 2. I think this column right here is the missing column. So if there's a check mark in this column, this is probably 0 out of 2. This says 0, that says no credit. And that tells you that this student would have to do lesson 3, again, if it's marked missing. And then I tried to put special comments in if there's a reason why a paper was turned in late, or if there's a reason why I gave a lower credit, a lower score. If I gave this person a 1 out of 2 on lesson 3, over here it would probably say, you know, only did problems 1 through 3, and there were 8 problems, or you know, wrote random answers, there's no work, or something like that. If a student's absent, the attendance secretary puts this comment in. So that brings us to performance. And as you can see, the performance is weighted at 100%. So your student's math grade comes from their performance on the assessments. And as you can see, this student, even though they are perfect on their assignments, they are not perfect on their assessments. They have an A minus, a 91 and 51 hundredths percent. They're pretty close to being perfect, 28 and 55 hundredths out of 31 and 2/10. So it's not often that I give extra credit in performance. The only way to get extra credit in performance is to do some kind of performance that is extra. And as you can imagine, that's difficult to do. We do review games as we get closer to the assessments. And so being on a winning team or being in the top 5 will get you an extra credit point. So that's why some students have points there and some don't. But not having the extra credit is not hurting this person. They have an asterisk. There's nothing there. So this person shows their work. Had some difficulty solving real world problems with area. As you can see, they got a 2 out of 3. So a 2 out of 3, I knew how to start it, but I wasn't sure how to finish it. I did not get the right answer. Could solve multi-step problems, was able to label the height of a triangle, labeled all their story problem answers. Probably had a brain fart on finding the area of a polygon. A 2.5 is typically, I knew what to do, but I said 7 times 8 was 49 instead of 56. So I didn't get the right answer, but I was really close. So some people are like, why is it all spread out like this? Like, why doesn't it just say I got an A on my test or I got a B on my test? Personally, I don't think that tells you anything. I mean, what does a B mean? I didn't do perfect, but I didn't do bad. That really doesn't help you. So when I give tests in Skyward, I separate each question into its own category. As you can see, these were all from October 11th, which was the day we took the math test. And so now this student knows I'm okay on all these things right here, but I need to work on I can solve real world problems. So I should probably do some work on that and retake that test question. There's no need for them to retake the whole test. I just want them to retake that test question. Come in and get some help on that one. Let's figure out what you didn't understand, so that when you do retake that test question, probably at Core Flex time, you can do better. So I realize it's new, but it really is what's good for students, and really does give you a better picture of how your student is doing and really how you can help your student than if you got a math test back that just said B minus on the top of it. So now you might not know what to do to help them on I can solve real world problems. But if you got their math test and you looked at that math test, you would be able to see, oh, that was problem 7. Let's look at problem 7. Oh, that was finding the area of an irregular shape. So how can we practice that? Let's look at Khan Academy. Let's go back and look at the illustrative math site, or let's look at your handouts. So it really does make it so that it's easier for you to help, and really your student is more aware of what they need. Now, I will say that I only get so many characters to show on this line right here. So on the real progress report, like on the live page, this is blue because you could click on it and it will bring up the full description and it will bring up the problem number as well. So if you're kind of confused by that, get on Skyward, look at your student's progress report and see if there are things that you have questions about, or they have questions about, or maybe help them make a plan for what they can do to fix their grade. So I hope that was a little more helpful than having written directions or written explanations given the third day of school. As always, let me know if you have any questions.